In matching features questions, you're given a list which is usually in a text box, and you have to match it to a set of statements which are given in the question. This list that you're given is usually a list of names, but it could be a list of places, animals, years, etc. So as I mentioned before, usually in this question type, the list of names that we are given is in a text box and the statements are in the questions. However, we have seen the same question being asked in a different way also. As you can see on your screen, in this case, the statements are in a text box, whereas the list of names is in the question. In the case of pen and paper IELTS, you have to write the correct letter in your answer sheet, whereas in the case of computer delivered IELTS, you have to click on the correct option and it gets selected. Let's now talk about how to handle these questions. First, locate all the items in the list in the passage. So if you're given a list of names, locate where and how often these names are mentioned in the passage. So some names may be mentioned in 2 or 3 paragraphs, others may be mentioned only in 1 paragraph. Make a note of this. Second, skim through all the given statements. Skimming means you glance at all the statements quickly. Do not try to understand in detail what is being said in the statement, but just focus on the words that catch your attention. Next, begin with the item or the name from the list that is mentioned the least number of times in the passage, because this name will have the least amount of content in the passage, so it is easier to handle. Carefully read the relevant parts of the passage. Look for direct quotations or statements made by the individuals mentioned in the list. This doesn't always work, but very often the answer comes from something the person has said directly. So look for information which is in double quotes or something that says that this person said that. Be attentive to the use of pronouns he, she, and they in the passage, because sometimes a person's name may be mentioned in 1 paragraph, but in the next paragraph they could just be referred as he, she, or they. And you may assume that they are only mentioned in 1 paragraph. A very important instruction that you should make a note of in this question type is, you may use any letter more than once. Consciously check whether this is mentioned or not. In certain questions, such as this one that we are practicing with, there are 3 names and 6 questions. So obviously you would use 1 letter more than once. But there could be a case where there are maybe 4 names and 3 statements, and still it says you can use 1 letter more than once. So this is a very important instruction in this question type. Let's look at these questions now. We have a list of 3 people. The first thing we do is check how often and where these people are mentioned in the passage. The first name that we have in the list, Stella Pashidi, is mentioned for the first time in the 2nd paragraph, and then she's mentioned repeatedly till the 8th paragraph. That's a lot of paragraphs. Hamish Lowell, the second name in the list, is mentioned in 9th and 10th paragraphs. And 11th paragraph onwards, we see a mention of Evan McCoy. So I'll read the content for B and C before A, because there's a lot of content of A. After doing this, I skim through all the statements. Some words that I noticed while doing this are underlined on your screen. Having done this, I'll start with Hamish Lowe because there are just 2 paragraphs where this person is talked about. Because I have no idea of the location of the answers in these paragraphs, the technique I follow for reading is ideal for getting the gist of what is being said. I start reading the first sentence. I avoid focusing on names, examples, etc. Wherever I feel I understand what the sentence is talking about, I start skipping information. And then wherever the next sentence starts, I do the same thing. This way, I get some idea of what is being said in each sentence. And if I feel it is in any way connected to any of the statements, I read that sentence carefully. Hamish Lowe believes that the future of work will involve major transitions, whole life course. The traditional trajectory of full-time education followed by full-time work, followed by retirement. A thing of the past. Trajectory is the path. So the traditional or the conventional path is full-time education followed by full-time work. Instead, he envisages is he sees or he predicts future a multi-stage employment life with retraining, multiple jobs. So this immediately connects to the 39th question, which says people are going to follow a less conventional career path than in the past. Let us look at the words or phrases which have helped us understand this. Traditional is conventional, trajectory is path, career mentioned in the question is mentioned as work and jobs in the passage. And the word past we see mentioned in both the passage and the question. As I mentioned before, there's a high probability of the answer coming from something that a person said. In this case, we see that part of the statement is in direct quotes, and the other part says he envisages something, which is he predicts it or sees it, or that's what he comments on it. The direct link to a video in which all of these questions are discussed in detail is in the description. Knowing the question types helps you decide which questions to do first and know the right technique for each question type. Basically, it helps you find answers quickly and correctly. All the different methods of solving these question types that I've recommended in this video are just that, recommendations and suggestions. Obviously, your target is to find the answer. Practice a lot. See what method works the best for you. But certainly, knowing each question type well helps you identify that method for yourself. Most importantly, you need this knowledge of different question types to figure out which question type to do first. And finally, practice is crucial. However, just do not practice one test after another without pausing to understand why you made the mistakes that you did. So do a practice test, correct it, go back and figure out why you made every single mistake, and then move on to the next one. Just doing a lot of practice tests, one after another, may not help you improve your reading score. That's it for now. Hope this helped you. All the very best.